Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into complex information and pull out the most fascinating insights, all tailored just for you. Today, we're embarking on, well, a really epic journey into the Book of Numbers. We're charting the Israelites' crucial and often challenging trek through the wilderness.
That's right. And these aren't just, dusty old records. They're a vivid window.
Yeah.
A window into a foundational time for a whole nation. We'll explore everything from, meticulous organization to dramatic moments of rebellion and some really surprising divine encounters. Our mission really is to see how divine order sort of wrestled with human frailty and what timeless lessons pop out from that tension.
Okay, so if you've ever wondered about the intricate rules for an ancient people, or the real stories behind their trials, or even, and this is a fun one, how a talking donkey fits into a sacred narrative,
Right.
you're definitely in the right place. We're here to extract the core insights from this rich source material, hopefully leaving you well-informed and maybe a little surprised by what you find.
Let's dive in.
Okay, so our deep dive starts with order, specifically two really significant censuses. The first one happens pretty early, right after they leave Sinai, and it meticulously counted all the men 20 years old and up who could serve in the army. The total was, well, impressive, 603,550.
It's the scale, isn't it? And the precision. It's really striking.
Yeah.
Every single tribe was registered by family, by paternal house.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Judah had the biggest group, 74,600,
Wow.
while Manasseh had 32,200. But this wasn't just a head count.
No.
It was more like strategic planning, wasn't it? Preparing a whole nation for this huge journey and, the challenges ahead. It really underlines that even divine plans often need very practical, very organized human prep work.
But, okay, amidst this massive military count, there's a really key exception. The Levites.
Yes.
They were left out of this count.
Yeah.
So what was their deal? What was their unique contribution? And how were they supposed to, survive without inheriting lands like the others?
Right. That exemption really points to their completely different, but just as vital role.
Yeah.
The Levites, they numbered 22,000 in a later separate census,
Okay.
and they were consecrated purely for the service of the Tabernacle of the Testimony. Their duties were incredibly specialized, almost like a divine logistics team.
Huh. Logistics team, I like that.
Yeah. Each family group had specific jobs. The Kohathites, for example, they handled the most holy items, the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars.
The really sacred stuff.
Exactly. And under super strict rules, they were warned not even to touch them or even look at them directly, or they could die.
Wow. High stakes.
Definitely. And their service period was specific, too, from age 30 to 50.
Okay. And the others?
Well, then you had the Gershonites. They were tasked with caring for the tabernacle's fabrics, the tent cloths, covering screens.
Right, the softer materials. Yeah.
And the Merarites, they handled the heavy lifting, the structural parts, panel frames, bars, pillars, the socket pedestals.
So it was all broken down.
Very much so. This level of detail just shows how important order and specific roles were for maintaining this mobile spiritual center and, the holiness connected to it.
That specialization is just incredible, especially for people on the move. It makes me wonder, though, how was this full-time service sustained? Did they have, a different economic setup since they didn't get land?
Precisely. That's a key point. To support them, because this was their full-time job.
Right.
The Levites received a tenth of the tithes from all the other Israelites. That was their inheritance.
Like the tithe.
Yeah. And then, in turn, they had to contribute a tenth of that tithe to Aaron the priest.
Oh, interesting. A tithe of the tithe.
Exactly. It was this, ingenious system, really. It ensured they were provided for without land, emphasizing their total dedication to their sacred duties. It's a fascinating model of sort of reciprocal support within the community.
And this intense focus on order, it wasn't just for the people and their jobs. It extended to how they traveled and camped, too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everything was ordered. They camped in distinct three-tribe divisions,
Okay.
all strategically positioned around the central tent of meeting. So Judah's group was east, Reuben's south, Ephraim's west, Dan's north.
Like a compass rose around the tabernacle.
Pretty much. And their movements. Entirely governed by the cloud and fire that rested over the tabernacle.
Right. The divine GPS.
Huh. Yeah, you could say that. It told them exactly when to move and when to stay put.
Yeah.
They even had special silver trumpets made just for calling the assembly together and signaling when it was time to break camp.
Wow.
Every single aspect of their nomadic life was orchestrated with this divinely ordained precision. It was like a blueprint for communal life and worship on the move.
Incredible order, yet Even with this, perfect divine plan, the human element always seems to introduce some major friction.
Always does, doesn't it?
Let's shift gears now and explore the complaints, the rebellions that bubbled up during this journey.
Indeed. And one of the earliest and maybe most revealing challenges was the people complaining bitterly about their food.
The manna, the miracle food.
The very same. Complaining about the manna and having this selfish, just insatiable craving for meat.
And, what was the consequence of that kind of discontent?
Well, Jehovah's anger flared up quite dramatically. First, a fire broke out on the edges of the camp.
Okay.
Then he sent quail, huge numbers of quail, like they wanted, but he struck the people with a great plague while the meat was still, the text says, in their mouths.
Oh, wow. Instant judgment.
Pretty much. The place got a grim name, Kibroth Hatava. It means burial places of the craving.
Chilling.
It really is. It just brutally illustrates how unchecked craving and ingratitude, even when you're receiving divine help, can quickly turn blessings into, well, burdens. A powerful reminder that dissatisfaction, if you let it fester, can lead to self-inflicted disaster.
It's also quite astonishing that even Moses' own family, his inner circle, had issues. Miriam and Aaron spoke against him.
Specifically about his Cushite wife. But it was also about questioning his unique relationship with Jehovah.
Challenging his authority.
Yes, exactly. And coming from his own brother and sister, it really underscored Moses' unique position. The text highlights his unparalleled meekness, actually, and his direct face-to-face communication with God.
How did God respond?
Swiftly and directly. Miriam was immediately struck with leprosy.
Well, leprosy, wow.
Yeah, very stark, very visual lesson in respecting divine authority. But what's compelling is Moses, despite what she did, he prayed for her.
He interceded.
He did. And after a 7-day quarantine outside the camp, she was restored. It shows this interplay of, divine justice, the sacredness of leadership, but also the power of intercession, even from the one who was wronged.
Okay, but perhaps the biggest crisis, the one with the longest lasting consequences, was the story of the spies. Moses sends 12 leaders, chieftains, to scout out Canaan, the promised land. What happened when they got back?
Oh, you can just imagine the scene, right? 12 guys returning after weeks away, the whole camp buzzing with anticipation.
Yeah, what's the land like?
Well, 10 of the spies brought back what the text calls a bad report.
How?
Filled with fear. They talked about strong people, huge, fortified cities. They even claimed they saw the Nephilim there.
Nephilim, like giants.
Giants, or maybe just mighty warriors, ancient figures of legend. Whatever they were, it amplified this sense of impossibility.
But not all of them.
No, 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, they delivered a hopeful report. They focused on Jehovah's power to give them the land.
So faith versus fear.
Exactly. But the people, sadly, they chose fear. They wept, they grumbled against Moses and Aaron. They even talked about appointing a new leader to take them back to Egypt.
Back to slavery, after everything.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Rejecting the very promise they'd been journeying towards for so long.
So what did this massive lack of faith, this outright rebellion, what did it mean for their future? Where did they go from there?
Well, this was a major turning point, a devastating one. Jehovah, angered by this profound lack of faith, especially after they'd seen so many miracles,
Right.
he declared that none of the men counted in that first census, the ones 20 years and older who had grumbled, none of them would enter the promised land.
None of them.
Except for Joshua and Caleb, the faithful ones.
Wow. So the whole generation.
Pretty much condemned to wander for 40 years. The judgment was specific. A day for a year. 40 days the spies were gone, 40 years of wandering, until that entire faithless generation died out there in the wilderness.
A sobering lesson.
Absolutely. A lesson in how collective fear and disobedience can just derail an entire generation from reaching a promised future. And to make matters worse, when they realized their punishment, they tried to presumptuously go up and take the land anyway, against God's command.
How did that go?
Badly. They were routed by the Amalekites and Canaanites. Total defeat.
And that wasn't the only major rebellion, was it? There was another huge challenge to authority, involving figures like Korah, Dathan, and Abram.
That's right. This was less about fear of the outside and more about challenging the leadership inside the camp. A direct challenge to Moses and Aaron's divinely appointed roles.
Who was Korah?
Korah was actually a Levite, a relative of Moses and Aaron. He, along with Dathan and Abram, and about 250 other prominent Israelite men, they accused Moses and Aaron of, well, exalting themselves above the rest of the people.
A power grab.
Essentially, yes. And Jehovah's judgment was, again, swift and dramatic and terrifying. The ground literally split open
Oh,
and swallowed Korah, Dathan, Abiram, their families, and all their possessions, swallowed them alive.
oh my goodness.
And at the same time, fire came down and consumed the 250 men who were with them, who were trying to offer incense illegitimately.
Just unbelievable.
And then, as a lasting sign against this kind of rebellion, Aaron's staff, his rod, miraculously budded overnight. It blossomed and even produced ripe almonds. It was kept in the ark as a permanent, undeniable proof of Aaron's God-given priesthood. It really demonstrates the immense sacredness of the divine order they were living under and the severe consequences of challenging that established authority.
Yet even Moses himself, the great leader, the one who spoke face to face with God, he had a moment of failure that cost him entry into the Promised Land. Tell us about that incident.
Yeah, it's a poignant story. It happened at a place called Meribah, which means quarreling. The people were again complaining, this time desperately needing water.
Another complaint.
Another one. And Jehovah told Moses to speak to the rock, and it would bring forth water. But Moses, perhaps out of sheer exasperation with the people's constant grumbling,
Understandable, maybe.
perhaps, but he didn't follow the command exactly. Instead of speaking, he struck the rock twice with his staff.
And water came out.
Water came out, yes. But the issue wasn't the result, it was the method. God said Moses failed to sanctify him, failed to honor him as holy before the eyes of the Israelites in that moment.
And the consequence.
For that act, both Moses and Aaron were told they would not be the ones to lead the congregation into the Promised Land.
Wow. Even Moses.
Even Moses. Aaron later died on Mount Hor, his priestly garments passed on to his son Eleazar. It's just this powerful, almost humbling reminder that even the most exemplary leaders are accountable. Fallibility has consequences, even impacting our most cherished desires.
But even amidst these failures and judgments, Jehovah also provided some really unexpected solutions for their struggles, like that copper serpent.
Yes, that's another remarkable incident. It came after, guess what? More complaining.
Of course. What was it this time?
Again, about the lack of food and water, calling the manna worthless.
Uh,
So Jehovah sent poisonous, fiery serpents among them.
ouch.
Yeah, many people were bitten and died.
Hmm.
But then Moses prayed. He interceded for the people again.
Yeah.
And in response, Jehovah told him to make a serpent, a copper one, and put it up on a pole.
Why?
So that anyone who was bitten, if they simply looked at the copper serpent on the pole, they would live.
Just look at it.
Just look at it. It was this unique, really profound symbol of healing. It showed that even in these dire, self-inflicted circumstances, a simple act of faith and obedience, just looking, even if it seemed counterintuitive, could bring salvation.
Incredible. Now, their journey wasn't just defined by these internal struggles, was it? They also had significant encounters with other nations as they got closer to Canaan. Edom, for example.
That's correct. As they approached the borders, they needed passage through Edom. Moses sent messengers appealing to them as, "Your brother Israel," promising not to take anything, just pass through.
And Edom said yes?
No. Edom flatly refused. They even came out with a strong army to threaten them.
So Israel had to turn back?
They had to go around, taking a much longer, harder route. Diplomacy failed there. However, they did have subsequent military successes.
Against whom?
Against two Amorite kings, Sihon and Og, who lived east of the Jordan River. Israel defeated them decisively and took possession of their lands.
So mixed results with neighboring nations.
Very much so, highlighting the complex political and military reality of that region at the time.
Okay, speaking of, really unexpected encounters, there's one of the most unusual stories in the whole book. It involves a king named Balak and a prophet named Balaam. What on earth is going on there?
Ah, Balak and Balaam, yes. It's quite a tale. Balak was the king of Moab, and he was absolutely terrified of the Israelites after seeing what they did to the Amorites.
Understandably.
So he hires Balaam, who's apparently a well-known prophet or diviner, famous for the power of his curses and blessings. Balak wants him to curse Israel.
Hire a prophet to curse them.
Exactly. But the thing is, Balaam, despite maybe his own intentions, finds he can only speak the words Jehovah puts in his mouth.
God overrides him.
Completely.
Okay.
And then comes that truly jaw-dropping moment you mentioned earlier.
The donkey.
The talking donkey. Balaam is riding along, determined to go meet Balak, and his donkey sees something Balaam doesn't, an angel of Jehovah standing in the path with a drawn sword.
The donkey sees the angel.
Yes. The donkey tries to turn aside, saves Balaam's life, basically, and Balaam gets angry and beats it. And then the donkey speaks.
Speaks. Like words.
Asks him why he's beating her. It's one of those parts of the story that just reminds you how unpredictable divine intervention can be, and maybe how blind we can be sometimes to the obstacles or the angels right in front of us.
Unbelievable. So what happened with the curse?
Well, despite Balak taking Balaam to 3 different vantage points overlooking the Israelite camp, hoping for a curse,
It didn't work.
nope. Each time, Balaam opens his mouth, and out comes a blessing for Israel instead. 4 prophetic sayings in total.
Blessing them. What did he say?
He foretold Israel's unique status, their separation from other nations, their incredible strength like a wild bull or a lion, and their future kingship. He even mentions a star rising from Jacob and a scepter from Israel. Powerful stuff.
So what does this whole bizarre, extraordinary incident really signify for the Israelites right there on the verge of entering the land?
Well, it powerfully highlights Jehovah's unwavering protection over his people, doesn't it?
Yeah, clearly.
His absolute inability to be swayed by external attempts, even by powerful curses from renowned prophets. It's like this divine shield over Israel. It shows that even a non-Israelite prophet paid to do the opposite could be compelled to speak divine truth. It's a real testament to God's sovereignty over everything.
But just when you think they're finally ready, right before entering the land, another major moral crisis hits, this time involving Moabite women and false worship.
Yes, right at the doorstep in a place called Shittim. The Israelites fell into a really severe moral lapse. They started committing sexual immorality with Moabite women.
Okay.
And these women invited the Israelite men to sacrifices for their gods. And the men went and bowed down to Baal of Peor,
Baal of Peor. Who is that?
a local Canaanite or Moabite fertility god whose worship often involved, well, ritualistic immorality. It was a complete betrayal of their covenant with Jehovah.
And the consequences were severe again, I imagine.
Devastating. A plague broke out, a direct result of this idolatry and immorality, and tragically killed 24,000 Israelites.
24,000.
Yeah. It was only stopped by the decisive, zealous action of Phinehas,
Who was he?
Aaron's grandson, a priest. He saw an Israelite man bringing a Midianite woman into his tent, right in the midst of this crisis. Phinehas took a spear, went into the tent, and executed both of them.
Wow. Drastic action.
Extremely. But the text says his zeal for Jehovah's exclusive devotion turned God's anger away and stopped the plague. And as a result, Phinehas and his descendants were given a lasting covenant of priesthood. It shows the fierce consequences of spiritual compromise right on the edge of the promise, and the high value placed on unwavering, zealous devotion.
Okay, so finally, as our deep dive wraps up, we're preparing for the actual conquest. What about the leadership transition and the preparations for actually settling in the land?
Right, with Moses, knowing his time was near, his death approaching, a successor was needed. Joshua, the son of Nun, one of the 2 faithful spies, remember?
All right.
He's described as a man in whom there is spirit. He was officially commissioned to succeed Moses.
How was that done?
Moses laid his hand on Joshua publicly, conferring authority upon him in front of the whole assembly, a clear transfer of leadership.
And the land itself.
Meticulous plans were laid out. The detailed process for dividing the land among the tribes by lot was outlined, including special provisions for cities, specifically for the Levites, since they got no tribal territory.
Ah, right, for their support.
Exactly. And also, crucially, establishing cities of refuge.
Cities of refuge, what were they for?
Places where someone who accidentally, unintentionally killed another person could flee for safety from the avenger of blood until their case was judged. A key legal protection.
Important distinction.
Very. And there were also specific laws clarified about inheritance, particularly for daughters when there were no sons, famously exemplified by the case of the daughters of Zelophehad earlier in Numbers.
So they were really thinking ahead.
Absolutely. It shows this careful, deliberate transition of leadership and meticulous preparation for a settled, organized, and just life in the Promised Land, ensuring continuity, justice, everything needed for this nomadic people to become a landed nation.
What an absolutely incredible journey through the Book of Numbers.
No.
Just wow. We've seen a people meticulously organized by divine command, literally led by cloud and fire, yet constantly battling their own human nature, experiencing pretty terrifying divine judgment, but also witnessing these remarkable acts of grace, protection, and prophecy.
Yeah, and if we try to connect this to the bigger picture, it really underscores that intricate balance between divine guidance and human free will, or perhaps human frailty.
Definitely.
It reveals the severe consequences of disobedience and faithlessness, but also the enduring mercy and power of a God who sticks with his people, protects them, even when they repeatedly falter. It truly is a testament to the incredibly detailed foundations being laid for an entire nation's spiritual and physical future.
It is. And this incredible, complex narrative really compels us to consider, doesn't it? In our own lives, in a world where order can feel so elusive sometimes and challenges feel overwhelming. What can we actually learn from this about the power of maybe unwavering principles and guidance, even when they're met with that inevitable human tendency towards error and rebellion?
That's a deep question.
Something to definitely mull over until our next deep dive.